I really need to work on this. But today we're going to work on the Beetle a bit. I'm going to do the valve adjustment and oil change today. And as you can see, it's a lovely sunny day here in beautiful Raton, New Mexico. The sun's right over there somewhere. Maybe it'll come out. We'll see. I get some tools together, get the cover off here. We'll get you all set up, and I'll show you how I adjust valves, and we'll do an oil change. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at here is our crank pulley. And the crank pulley shows us where the engine is in its cycle. And on your stock one, where am I trying to go with this? On your stock one, there's just going to be a little notch. I've got an aftermarket here, but you can see I've got BDC on this side. So that means that number, what the heck is it? Number 1 is down. Number 4 is at the top, and number 3 is down. Number 2 is at the top, I think. I'll tell you in a minute. And then if I keep going around here 180 degrees, where on this pulley we get to the empty logo, that's at top dead center. As you can see, it lines up with that little bit right there on the case. So that means now that either number 1 or 3 are at top dead center. We want number 1 because we're going to work on this side of the engine first. We're going to do 1 and 2 first, and then we'll do 3 and 4. There's ways to do this where you do like 1 and the exhaust valve on number 4 and the intake on number 2, and there's a way to do that. I get confused and lost. I just do them one at a time, and it makes it a lot easier. I do one side first and then the other side. So we need a few tools here also, and I'll get those, and we'll get to going on this. Okay, I could actually get you underneath here, and you're gonna bounce a little bit, sorry. But here's a trick for getting the valve cover off, is you put a rag around there, and we're just gonna come down with a sharp, see, it's a trick, it works great. There it goes. And that gives our valve cover loose. And then we're going to get a screwdriver kind of underneath here. Somewhere. There we go. And just give it a little bit of a pry. I know I'm in the way. You can't see it. I can't see it because it's dark. Holy cow, I need a light. Well, that light's busted. Let's try this one. Nope. Let me bring it back. How about now? There's a little bit of light. I can see. There we go. Here's our valve cover off. And you can see we got our number 1 here. And we may have got lucky, but boy, that's super tight. Yeah, I think we got number 1 on top dead center. And we can check that by kind of rotating that and looking for some motion. And we can see number 2 there moving, but number 1's not. So we got number 1 at top dead center. And so we're going to check the valves up here, but they're tight. They're not clacking or anything. So it's really time to do this. They've tightened up quite a bit. So I'll make sure our engine's at top dead center here. And we've got our 13 mil. And we're just going to loosen, oops, There we go. Our adjusters, like so. Now we have some clacky. I'm gonna back this off a little bit so we get more clacky in there. And we'll get our 0.006 inch feeler gauge here, which I've had since high school. What's that one? That's 0.008. There it is. 0.006. So there's our feeler gauge right there. That's probably upside down, but there it is, 0.006. And so that's what we want to adjust this little gap right up in here to right there. And so we can do that a couple ways. We can turn this in by our fingers till we kind of feel it grab. That's too loose. That's too tight because I can't move it. We just want to get some friction in there. And then we're going to use our screwdriver. Oops, sorry. Our screwdriver and our wrench in combination here. We're going to use our screwdriver to hold that steady, our little adjusting screw. And see, we let it move a little bit. And we're just going to snug that up, and we can still feel that friction in there. It's not loose, it's not super tight. I want to tighten that just a little bit more. But that's essentially it. We're going to go around. We're going to do the intake and exhaust on number 1, and then we're going to spin this around a couple times until we get number 2, and then we're going to do number 3 and number 4 over on the other side. And that's really it. And when you do this, you want to inspect your valve cover gasket, make sure that it's intact and everything. This has a couple little nicks in it, but they're up high, so that's probably okay. And we'll just clean it off. I've got another one. If this starts to leak, I'll pull it off again and I'll put another one on there. But that's really all there is to it. It's not that hard. Again, these aren't really instructional videos. I'm just showing you what I do. And I'll bring you back when we do the oil change and stuff. All right, we switched over to the other side here, and I've got these two done as well. Number 3 was my last one. But when we put this together, you want to make sure you've cleaned off your mating surface here. And I know there's some little chunks of old gasket in there, but they're going to line up with the chunks taken out of this gasket. So it should all work out. We'll flip this down. You want to clean all the extra oil off. You do want it lubed a little bit. A little bit is okay on there. You want to get this on here and make sure that it's seated. I accidentally one time put one of these on, and it was sitting on the lip. And then you get your bail up here and just get your screwdriver and snap it on. And if you got heater channels or J-tubes or whatever, you just want to clean the oil off that spilled on here. I might get some degreaser on here and clean this off even more. It's kind of grody, but that's essentially it. And now we've got our valves adjusted, and we're going to change the oil on this and go for a drive today because it's a nice day-ish. It's, January 22nd, and it's about 45 degrees, so that's all right. It hasn't been snowing a while, so most of the salt and crap is off the road. It's supposed to snow tomorrow night, so we'll go for a little drive here in a bit. Let's do a cold start while we're here, because we want to bring the engine up to something approaching operating temperature to make sure that oil drains quickly. considerably less clocky valves and not as thunky. It just didn't sound right. It was at 3,000 miles, so we're good. But we'll let that warm up and we'll come back and do an oil change. The Beetle is pretty low. I can't even imagine if that lower than. I guess you'd have to put it up on a jack or something. But you know, we can get in here. That's a 22. I think it's a 21. Yeah, we can get in here and we can get a low profile pan underneath here. And I'm gonna get this all over my fingers. It's inevitable, but I'm just gonna drop the drain nut here. If we were doing a full oil change, we'd take this plate off and clean out the screen and everything. I did that the last oil change, or I guess that was the first oil change on this car. And actually some of this is kind of JB welded together because this block isn't very good. It's a little bit eroded away in here, and so it's got some sealer to make this even seal. But we'll let this oil drain out here for quite a while. I've warmed up the engine. It's not hot, it's warm. I've warmed it up, but I'm going to let this drain so that a lot of stuff comes out. And you can see it's time for an oil change. It's pretty dark. Maybe a little bit over, but I did 3,000 miles, so you know, we'll go with that. And we'll just let this all drain out, and we'll put back in the plug, clean everything off. I'll check the torque on these little guys too. They're supposed to be at 8 pounds. They're not much. You don't want to over torque those because this just is a magnesium, you know, alloy block, and it can just pull those right out because those are steel studs on there. So you don't want to overdo it. You don't need to. If you got a good gasket on there, it's not going to leak much. They just leak. I've never had one that didn't leak. People, I guess, build motors that don't leak, and you know, after 50,000 miles, they're going to leak. They just do. But we'll bring it back here in just a minute when we're refilling the oil, and we'll start it up again. Okay, once you've got everything clean underneath here and you got your plug back in, torqued to the specifications in your manual, they always say you should replace that copper washer. I do about every second or third oil change. That's probably a bad habit, but it's just what I do. And the little acorn nuts there, cap nuts, 3 or 4 of them were a little bit loose, so I just kind of snugged them down. Again, they're only 8 pounds. I might have put 10 on them. I just kind of did it with my fingers and a wrench, and one of those is real loose. It doesn't tighten right, so it's just kind of hanging out. But I'll address that when I finally do take this off and replace the screen in there. I've got a screen kit and everything for the next oil change. But once that's all done, then we come up top here. And now we're ready to put in oil. I get stuff out of the way. I have a oil breather air filter, so I'm going to oil breather. It's an, I guess it is. It's an oil air filter. I'm going to change the oil in that too. And we're just going to fill this up with 2.5 quarts, and we'll check the dipstick. And I don't have the dipstick in there right now. I've got a Dafton Telltale that makes the oil light flash if it starts getting hot, which it has before. It's happened. I had a problem that I had to fix. Got that all sorted, and it doesn't run hot anymore. It runs perfect. So I also have an infrared thermometer that I check periodically, make sure everything's okay, but it's all working good. But we'll fill it up with oil here and restart, make sure we get pressure, and off we go. All right, we got the fresh oil and everything in. Everything's cleaned up. We checked the air filter. It was fine. I actually had changed it not too long ago. I drove 20 miles down a dirt road and came back and changed that, so it's fine. But one of the problems this car has always had is the seal down here. I cannot get it to stay on there, and that's because this was wrecked in the back. So it's a little bit out of kilter. You can see the engine doesn't quite sit high enough and over enough. If you look at the cutouts for the exhaust, that's fine. I don't care. I get to drive it around. You don't. But you probably have your own. That's fine. But I'm going to try something because someone suggested putting a Type 4 seal in there. And a Type 4 seal is this channel like this. And I'm assuming this kind of slicky part goes to the bottom, I'm gonna guess. And this is on the top. Maybe it's the other way around. But anyway, it looks like you put that, you know, on the tin here. And I'm just gonna kind of squish it up against the rubber here. I'm not gonna take the rubber out because there's nothing else back there for it to go against. On a Type 4, there's a, you know, two pieces. There's like another channel here that all of this, well, that's a channel. The two channels go around two pieces of, well, the tin and the body. So we're gonna try that. We're gonna stick it in here and see if I can make this work. And it might do some good for us here. We'll try it out. Well, we got that in somewhat. It's really good along this edge. I kind of stopped there because the rubber's okay over there. It holds on pretty good, and got it around this corner and back around there. It's more stuffed in over there rather than wrapped around like here, but I had a big gap here before. This will be better regardless. Let's start her up and see what happens. Oil lights off, runs like a champ. It's not quite warm, obviously, because all that oil was cold, but runs well. We're maybe going to work on the Volvo over there today, but I wanted to do a Beetle video of oil change and valve adjustment, brain fart. But yeah, we'll see you next time, and we'll go for a little drive here. Maybe we won't see you next time. Well, we will see you next time, but I think right now maybe we'll go for a little drive. I'll put some driving video in here too a little bit. Down the freeway, around 70 miles per hour. It'll like much go over 70. It's pretty comfy. We've got the foothills of the Sangre de Cristos over here, and Tanaja Peak and Laughlin Peak and other volcanoes over here. But works great, sounds great. The new carpet's in here, nice and quiet. I like it. I'm going to stick with it. Wood floors look cool, but I really like the carpet. And we're just going to drive down here to the Tanaja exit and turn around and head back home. Thanks for joining me today. Doing just a little oil change, a little maintenance, 3,000 mile checkup, and going for a little drive. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.